these folks, most of the folks may not know you. Just want to give you some ground rules that you have, again, a minute and a half to introduce yourself. Our timekeeper, Miss Debbie Spring, there she is, will give you 30-second sign, holding up saying you got 30 seconds to go. Then she'll give you a final warning of 10 seconds. If you've completed your time and you're still talking, she'll ring her bell. Miss Debbie is a very nice person, but she doesn't like ringing that bell. So you don't want to see her get angry. Just teasing, she won't get angry. But we want to take this time now for you to introduce yourselves to the community. And we will begin with Ms. Dominique McCord Cotton.
Basic ELA, basic science. And I'm here to I want to financially equip District 1 schools in order for the teachers to do the job that they need to do. They need to be financially equipped as well. Once again, my name is Demetra Savage Short. Thank you for listening to us and pray about your vote, and I hope it's me.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Taylor, and I'm running as a candidate for school board here in District 1. I am a father of children, 7 children, and each of them has attended Metro schools at some point in time. I have 2 children that are currently in Metro schools. I'm also a husband of almost 23 years now, and I've been committed to my wife through that time period, and that's the type of commitment that I want to bring to the role in the school board and our children in the schools. I have lived in the Nashville community on and off for over 25 years, and I believe that Nashville is looking for leadership that is focused on the specific needs of each community. And that's what I want to bring to the table. I believe that my experience and my background is broad enough to see the issues that are taking place, not just in our specific schools, but in our community as a whole. I believe that our community is where we need to start finding the solutions. I know that teachers are in the classroom every day, and I want to make sure that their voice is being heard I want to make sure that parents' voices are being heard. And I also want to make sure that our students' voices are being heard. And I believe that with the role of the school board, we can take a look at each one of those constituents and make sure that their voices are heard and are part of the solution to the things that are going on in our school system. I'm Robert Taylor, and I'm running for School Board District 1.
Good afternoon. My name is LaTanya Winfrey, and I'm in the race for School Board District 1. I have been in education since 1999, serving as a teacher on all tier levels and most recently a school counselor. Some may wonder why I choose to run a race which would require me to resign from my current position, but I would not be resigning from what I do. I would just be changing the capacity in which I do it. Using communication skills to listen to concerns, carefully reviewing policies, budget, and curriculum, creating and advocating for inclusive and equitable spaces are not lost skills because of change in position. If anything, it adds to the discussions that go on behind the work. Through my past roles and experiences, I believe I have the heart and the skill set necessary to become your School Board District 1 member. My name is LaTanya Winfrey, and for more information on my skill set, you can find it at winfreyforschools.com.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is TK Fain. I am school board representative for District 5 candidate. I guess we'll start by saying that I'm dedicated to the community and I'm an advocate for providing those resources. Here I am, fresh off a plane, here to speak and talk to you all today. I'm corporate at Amazon. I'm a data analyst for our New York City region. I believe that equity takes investment. Not only from financial standpoint, but from your time and your dedication. From the community and the resources that I have with the organizations that I've worked with at Amazon, I found a way to provide and give back to this community. I am also a parent. My son attends Pearl Cone, which is in District 5. And so I know what it takes to have that additional support. And again, like I said, to provide those resources so that we can have a better curriculum and that we can have those guidelines for those teachers and educators to provide for our kids. Again, I am TK Fain, School Board District 5. You can find me at Fain for 5. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Abigail Tyler, and I am the current representative for District 9 on the school board. I joined in 2020. This is the end of my first term. I am born and raised in Bellevue, out in the area where I represent. My 3 children all attend Metro Public Schools, and I was a teacher in Metro Public Schools for over a decade. I've also coached, and so I think between the viewpoint of a teacher, a coach, a parent, and a school board member, I have a lot of different ways of looking at the system and seeing where we have strengths and where we need more support. And based on my time on the board, I feel that I have a voice that is able to advocate appropriately. We've been able to, during my time on the board, we've been able to have the highest paid teachers in the state. We have increased our administrator and our support staff pay. I have fought for those every step of the way. I will continue to do so. And I see that my time's running out. My name again is Abigail Tyler, and I represent District 9, and I hope to be able to continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you all for your self-introductions. We appreciate you sharing with us and let us know more about who you are. Noah has 4 questions for each of you. And again, you'll be given 1.5 minutes to respond. Again, Debbie Spring is our timekeeper. And we are going to start with, again, with Ms. Dominique McCoy-Cotton. First question, over 40 counties and cities in Tennessee have passed resolutions opposing the Tennessee voucher expansion, believing it will have detrimental impacts on public schools and communities by draining away funding from public schools. What is your position on the voucher expansion, and how will you support MNPS students in the face of this expansion? And at any time you need me to repeat a question, I'd be happy to do so. Ms. McCord-Cotton.
Okay, I'd first like to say that I am a supporter of public schools and public education, and I support parents being able to choose the best option for their students, be it a district school or a charter school that can best meet the needs of their students. But I do not support a voucher system that takes money that could be funneled into our public education system and uses it for private institutions. So again, I am a supporter of public education. One of my priorities is to advocate for additional funds for school services and programs. So if elected, I would work with the board to advocate against the voucher system and in support of additional funds for our public schools.
Okay, to answer that question, I too am in support of parents' choice to educate their kids, not only publicly, not only through charter, but also private and homeschool, as I am a homeschool parent along with having a child in public school as well. As far as the voucher expansion, in order for me to correctly and honestly give you the answer, I need to look at the bill, I need to look at the language before I have an actual comment of what that says. I hope I've answered your question.
Okay. So once again, my name is Robert Taylor. And for me, I also believe in public schools. But I also believe that parents need to be able to choose the correct option for their own child. Now, my goal in running for school board is to make sure that Metro is that best option. And I believe we can do that. I believe that we have the tools and resources available to us. We have to figure out how to tap into them and to bring additional resources to the table through our community and business partners. Now, to answer the question directly, no, I'm not in favor of the vouchers. I understand that there are 3 different versions of the voucher bill that are going on right now, and none of them provide what parents are asking for, right? And also, the other piece is, if we have public dollars that we could spend towards public education, I would like for us to do that and not send those dollars to private schools. Public education needs to be funded through the public dollars that we have. I want to make sure that we're doing that. I have already been advocating for that at the state level and will continue to do so as a school board representative in District 1.
I'm not in favor of the voucher proposal that we have currently been discussing. I believe we cannot keep creating coupons for our more affluent families while our less affluent families are suffering and do not have the support and the resources that they need to educate our children. So I would not be advocating for that voucher system.
Hi, I'm TK Fain, and I too also do not support the voucher system. I believe we have a targeted increase for underprivileged students and under-resourced schools in our public system as is. If those funds could be allocated to resource those curriculums and programs, we would see the difference and be the change makers that we need to be. So I do not support.
Thank you. I also am adamantly opposed to the voucher program. I've been working with legislators trying to figure out ways that we can stop it from happening. What we see when we look at other states where they have implemented voucher systems, the students who use it are not the students they claim to be the ones who need it the most. They don't give enough money for these students to actually afford to attend the schools that they say they're going to use the vouchers for. 2 out of 3 kids in Ohio were already in private schools, never even stepped foot in a public school. 80 to 90% of the students in Arizona who are using the vouchers were already private school students. These are not vouchers that are going to public school students who are in a quote-unquote failing school. They are going to families who are already choosing to send their children to a private school, and it's just subsidizing the cost of that for those families. So it's not fair to our public school students. So I am adamantly opposed to it. Not only that, in none of the bills is there accountability for what happens to the learning of the students who actually attend the private school on a voucher. We know from the data, the limited data that we have from the program that's already going on in Memphis and Nashville, that the students who did use them to leave a public school to go to a private school, that they scored worse than their similar aged peers in the similar situation on the test at the end. So they're not learning more.
Thank you. Question number 2, what policies and procedures would you like to see in schools to support the safety of our students, teachers, staff, specifically when it comes to gun violence? What is your position on teachers and administrators carrying guns in school? And we will start with Ms. Demetrius Savage-Short and move to your left.
Okay, I just want to make sure you didn't want to start with Ms. Dominique.
No, I'll start you.
You start with me, okay. Okay, so my position on safety, specifically gun violence, I have a question for you. When you go to Cordell Hull, what is the first thing that you actually have to go through? Or you go through the airport, what's the first thing you have to go through? You have to go through a metal detector, correct? So if we're going to do safety, let's make safety throughout, even for our kids throughout across the board. Let's have metal detectors. As far as teachers being able to carry, I think that's fine for teachers to carry. We have a Second Amendment that allows us to carry. However, they need adequate training. They need to be able to pass a mental health screening, background screening, and they need extra training, because we're talking about the safety and protection of our child. You will protect your child at home, why not protect them at school? I'm done.
So, for me, I don't believe, well, first I want to talk about safety in schools. I think that there are some things that we can do policy-wise to make our schools safer. Metal detectors is not one of them. I grew up in a school system where we had metal detectors in high school. And one of my teachers was actually shot in the bathroom because he caught students with a gun in the school. And so they didn't work, all right? And so I don't believe that that's the solution. I think for us, we realize that the issues that are going on in our community and our society are showing up at our schools every day. And so the solution is larger than what can we do policy-wise in our schools. It's what are we doing in our community to get guns off the street? What are we doing to make sure that folks know that there is an issue in the school around gun safety, and to advocate for legislation to change the gun laws? That is the direction that we need to go to, utilizing the energy from the schools and the parents to get the legislation changed. Now for me, I believe that the real issue that we need to be focused on as far as the policy is looking at overall discipline and working with the families. And I want to make sure that we do not have teachers with guns in schools. We've had students who have been able to steal their teacher's car because it was left unattended. Can you imagine what would happen if we had additional guns in the school? And so those are not the solutions. The solution needs to come from the community and go from there. Thank you.
Could you please repeat the question?
Yes, I'd be glad to. What policies and procedures would you like to see in schools to support the safety of our students, teachers, and staff, specifically when it comes to gun violence? Also, what is your position on teachers and administrators carrying guns in school?
So I will answer in reverse. I do not believe that we should have teachers and staff carrying guns in school. It does not create a climate where our children will feel like they are safe, where they can trust the adults around them when they have those kind of weapons on them. Also, the same way we need to provide mental health supports for the children, it could be the same case for the teacher or staff, and I would not want to place guns in the hands of those who may need that mental health support. As far as the policies, I do believe we need to work on policies that focus on the reason behind why our children feel like they need to carry those weapons into the school. When you build a culture and a climate where students feel supported and they can feel like they have a relationship and feel safe, and then you are creating a climate where if they happen to see those things, they can report it to the people that it needs to be reported to. I always tell my students, I want you to leave here and come back, if not in the same condition, in better condition than when you left. No one wants to make that phone call home. So whatever policies we need to look into to protect our students, I am an advocate for.
I do not support guns in school by the teachers whatsoever. I don't think that's the solution. I agree with Robert. We need to look at the policymakers and the gun laws first. That's the first step in implementing safety for our kids and just safety for our communities overall. When we look at ways that we can address that from an educational school standpoint, I think mental health support and well-being and wellness curriculum as well as programs for emotional and psychological testing from your staff to your students, and just looking at a diversity curriculum and more inclusive curriculum and guidelines is a way that we can look into the health and safety of our kids and promote from within.
Thank you. Supporting the safety in our schools starts at the state level. And right now, we don't have the support of the state to do the kinds of things we need to do to keep our kids and our staff and admins safe in their schools. I think over 80% of Tennesseans who've been polled agree that there are common sense gun laws that we should and can implement immediately that would be helpful, and they would make a direct impact on keeping not only our schools but our communities safer. So I think one thing we can do is advocate for that. At the school level, what we can do policy-wise is, one, I do not think that any teachers or adults in our schools, admin, teachers, support staff, they do not need to be carrying guns. I do not agree with that. I think things that we know that are working, we should continue to invest in them. We should continue to invest in increasing our social and emotional learning supports so that our students learn how to deal with their big emotions, and they learn how to talk it out, and they learn how to figure out how to de-escalate themselves when they feel themselves getting too much. I think it's also important to really fully fund our schools so that we can staff our schools and have adult eyes and presence throughout the school building so we know what's happening. Making sure that we are investing in proactive and protective measures like the schools that, well, we're getting here, but so we've already done a lot of things to protect our schools right now, and I think that we should continue to invest in the ones that we know are working, and we should put the onus on the state to do its job.
I agree that the state needs to do a better job, but the safety of our students and our teachers should be our first priority. And students can't learn and teachers can't teach when they're in an environment when they don't feel safe. So I believe as a teacher, we should be establishing safe spaces within schools where students and teachers alike can report issues, can come with their concerns, and let others know how they can be supported. In addition to that, I support our schools in having resource officers, but we shouldn't stop there. These resource officers should know our students. We need to partner with local law enforcement and the community to make sure that our students never feel criminalized, but they feel safe and protected whenever they walk in our schools. In addition to what other candidates have said, I believe that our schools need more social, emotional learning opportunities so students can learn to regulate their emotions, but also advocate for themselves and let us know what they need. As a teacher, I do not support teachers, administrators, or anybody else aside from a resource officer in the building having a gun.
Thank you. Our next question. In the past, NOAA's Education Task Force leaders have enjoyed a working relationship with the Director of Schools. More recently, unfortunately, this relationship has declined and we are seeking to rebuild it. How will you connect NOAA and the greater community to the MMPS administration to foster open and honest relationships between them? And we will start with Mr. Robert Taylor, moving to your left.
So this is something that is near and dear to my heart because I was involved in some of those meetings with Dr. Battle over the past several years, and I have a very intimate understanding of why the relationship began to wane. And one of the things that I would hope to be able to do as a board member is to figure out a way to provide the community with true data related to the issues that they want to see. So if we're looking at discipline and the disparities that are taking place, especially with young African American males, I want to have access to that data. And I want to have the access to it at the same level that the administration in the building does, so that when organizations like NOAA come to support the schools, we know which school needs the additional support, and we can provide the resources directly to a school. I also worked with an organization called the Haynes Trinity Neighborhood Coalition. We use data related to the priority schools to determine which schools needed additional funding. And we went out and raised the money. We raised over $100,000 for those schools. They didn't have a PTA or PTO like some of our other more affluent schools did. And so we took the place and we stepped in as a community organization to do that. I wanted to help do more of that as a school board representative, and I believe that it starts by providing transparent data to the community and having conversations about how the community can support Dr. Battle and her mission in the schools.
The first thing I would like to know is why there was a disconnect with the relationship and looking at what that may be, and then sitting down and having open and honest discussion about how to repair or mend the relationship that we originally had between Dr. Battle and the board and the NOAA organization. I believe when we are trying to work together with community organizations to help our children, to help them be successful, to show them opportunities that lie for them after they leave out of the school building, it has to be trust and honest communication and transparency between all stakeholders that are involved. So first, I would like to know why it was the disconnect, and then secondly, try and figure out how to repair that relationship.
That was going to be my question as well, why there was a disconnect in the original relationship and how we could work together to mend and foster that moving forward. Just to piggyback, we all know that it takes a village, and so I do know the importance of community engagement and involvement as a parent and as a community advocate on behalf of my organization. So I would definitely look to fostering and trying to reconnect NOAA as much as possible, and also, like you said, looking at the data, just looking at reports as to the issues or concerns that you all may have, and trying to implement that into maybe like a community forum where you all are able to come in and ask those questions, and so that we can have a roundabout discussion.
Thank you. I think I've proven myself to be a partner to NOAA as far as opening up conversations between Dr. Battle and her team and the school board myself. I worked with them very closely on several different issues, including writing and passing the equity policy that Metro National now has, that they did not have despite repeated attempts to get one in the past. I think that part of the reason why we have seen a breakdown has been so many new things have been piled on top that we have allowed some of the questions that have come up in the past to fall to the wayside. And what we need to do is have a spotlight back on the things that are the most important to the community, to NOAA, to the other people that are working with NOAA in community with one another, and making sure that we keep that front and center, and that we remember who are we here to serve. And if we remember who we're here to serve, then that will help us keep our priorities in place. Sometimes that has to be done a little bit more loudly than other times, and I am committed to being part of that loud voice and increasing that relationship and increasing the ability for us to work together. Thank you.
Could you repeat the question, please?
In the past, NOAA's Education Task Force leaders have enjoyed a working relationship with the Director of Schools. But more recently, unfortunately, this relationship has declined, and we are seeking to rebuild it. How will you connect NOAA and the greater community to the MNPS administration to foster open and honest relationships between them?
Okay. I would agree to seek first to understand what the root of the issue was and to work to rebuild that relationship. I believe that it's important to establish an open line of communication and ways to do that. So if that is town hall or forum discussions, I think that when we're all working together, students have the best outcome. So that's something that we need to remember. But when I talk with community members, when I talk to fellow teachers and administrators, oftentimes there's a lapse in communication. So I think one of the primary things that needs to be established is a way for us to all effectively communicate with one another.
I will actually agree with every one of them on this issue as far as communication, open and honest and transparency communication, but not just open, and honest transparency, but also accountability. Why did you guys stop communicating? But it seems like there's another question that will be asked later, is that parents have stopped being able to give their voice at the school board when they have that as well. So it seems like it's a lack of communication, period, across the entire board, as if, to me, it looks as if there is one train of thought, and if that train of thought is not consistent with everybody else, then your opinion doesn't matter, or what you would like to add to the equation, it doesn't really matter. So I think having that open and honest dialogue with accountability would help across the board. So yes, I would like to know why it stopped, and I would be open most definitely to bringing you guys back to the table as well as parents.
Thank you all so very much. My final question. In Nashville, 67% of discipline referrals are non-white students, while they comprise only 43% of the MNPS student population. Black students continue to be 3 times more likely to be suspended than white students. What are your thoughts on these statistics? And what ideals do you have to address these issues? We will start with Ms. LaTanya Winfrey and go to your left.
I believe your statistics are correct. I see examples of it since I've been teaching since 1999. And it seems that the majority of the discipline problems that I see are related to not understanding the culture of our students. There are some ways that we need to handle our students and interact with our students and build relationships with them that could decrease these number of behavior issues that we have. If we show them that they are loved and respected, then you have less discipline issues. When you show them that you are trying to build a relationship with them, then you have less issues. But it's going to take adults showing that they care about the students and realizing that sometimes the acting out and the behavior is a result of something else, a deeper issue and a deeper reason to why they are acting out. So I believe if we could get to the core, to the root of the problem, we will see a decrease in those behaviors, and also put in place things that offer as incentives for our students to be the best person that they could be and build relationships with those parents, as well to offer them support in home when we see those behaviors arise.
The first step, again, is identifying the why. I think if we can identify the why, then we can scale the perspective of how to address those issues. I agree there are different things that are going on. A child who's hungry is not going to be as attentive and as eager to learn as someone who's full. Someone who's going through issues in their home will not come to school with a positive attitude most mornings. So it does take that additional support. I don't know if that's necessarily like a coaching staff that we implement or add, or if we are bringing in, like you say, more counselors or people to help from that standpoint, or if we're asking the teachers to in addition to teaching learning fundamentals, actually get to know your students on a personal level and having those conversations, those one-on-ones. I know from a corporate standpoint, we implement diversity and inclusion and equity policies so that all those areas are touched to some spectrum. So maybe we can implement that on an education perspective as well, so that we can include those programs and those curriculums as well as the additional staff to help and support those kids.
Thank you. So we have been implementing restorative justice in our schools for years now, but it's only been recently that we've been able to actually fund it appropriately. Speak up, sorry. So I said we have been doing restorative justice in our schools, but it's only been recently that we've been able to actually fully fund it in a way where we can hire enough counselors, and we still need to hire more counselors in our schools, absolutely. We've actually put it in the budget and are searching to do so. We need to, unfortunately, we haven't had enough applicants, so we are trying to hire more counselors in our school systems, but we definitely need to continue to push for that. We have peace centers in every single one of our elementary schools, and I think what we've heard from previous candidates who've been speaking about it is when you get down to the why is this happening, that's when you can figure out how to implement a solution that will work both for the school and the student. And I think that we both have to work in connection with one another and making sure that we're understanding why somebody is acting the way they're acting and letting them know, here's how we can support you. Here's how we can support your family. Here's how we can support the things that are happening in your life so that you don't feel like you have to act out like this. And so we need to continue to put the money and the effort and the time into those types of supports in our school systems.
I agree with what's been stated, and this is an unfortunate truth. Oftentimes, as a teacher, I see it all the time where our Black and brown students are identified as behavioral issues and concerns when their basic needs just haven't been met. So on a school level, I think first we need more trained professionals in the building to meet the needs of our students. In addition to that, we should work to train our teachers to identify issues with students. So teachers should be able to understand the difference between a student who is acting out because a need isn't being met versus a student who may just be defiant in a specific moment. I think on a policy level, we should encourage schools to look at data. So oftentimes, schools have a data pool where they can see what students have been referred. So as mentioned before, we need to look at the why this is a consistent issue with certain students. If a specific demographic of students are consistently being referred or expelled or suspended, we need to take a look and see why that is happening. Again, I think we need to train teachers on the best information that we can give them on how to identify issues with students, and we also need more trained professionals in the building so our students are able to have their needs met.
If we're going to look at the discipline regarding children of race, we should start by let's look at home, what's going on in the home life, because a lot of that happens, a lot of the disciplinary action can begin at home, and if there's no disciplinary actions at home, it's going to bleed over into the school, regardless of the color of your skin. It's a lack of discipline across the board. As far as children having behavioral health, if we're going to put more money into the funding the resources for the children to get the behavioral health they need, that means you're going to need behavioral coaches into the school, mental behavioral coaches into the school. I'm actually going through this with my own son who's Down syndrome, and we're having behavioral health problems right now, and he does go to school. And so the schools need those resources. I will agree they do need resources, but that requires trained behavioral health people to be in, if it's not just one school, but in all the schools. So disciplinary action, we need to have that. We need to go back to punishment, and it doesn't mean corporal punishment, even if it means timeout or redirection. That needs to be implemented as well. Thank you.
So this goes back to our issues as a community showing up at our schools every day, right? I think that the one thing I agree with the most is that our students need to know that they're loved when they come in our buildings every day. And it's difficult for a teacher to show that love if they don't feel loved, right? And as a community, I don't know that we do a good enough job of showing our teachers and our counselors and other school support staff that we love them on a regular basis. And that's what I want to challenge us to do as a community. As a school board representative, I believe that there is also an additional role to take leadership around issues like this. And I want to make sure that our community is showing our teachers and support staff that we care about them, so that they can then show that same love to our children and be encouraged when they receive training on how to deal with different types of issues that would cause a discipline issue with the student, right? Because once they know that they're loved, they will be more likely to show that love to our students and to receive the training to do so. But we ask our teachers in our schools to do a lot. And so I know that there are community programs that are out there to support parents in helping their children that have discipline issues. I know of one. It's called the New Life Center. It's the nonprofit that I actually run, where we provide parenting workshops to families in the schools that have dealt with discipline issues so that they can work with their children to provide self-discipline, and they will be prepared for the educational environment when they get to school.
Thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts on these questions, but we're not through with you yet. There are others who are interested and excited to ask you some additional questions. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nadia Hill. I'll be asking the next set of questions. Bear with me, I'm a little nervous. The first question is, what factors will you use to evaluate the superintendent of schools? And we'll start with Ms. T.K. Fain. Oh. What factors will you use to evaluate the superintendent of schools?
Data. I'm a data person. That's my 9 to 5, and so I want to look at the numbers before I can make a decision and I can support you. It needs to make sense to me from a perspective of data. So definitely want to be able to see those reports and to be able to analyze and look at it from not only just as a school board representative, but from a community liaison, and that's the way that I can support her.
Thank you. We have a robust evaluation system already in place, and one of the things that we look at is data, and that is a key point to what we do. So not only the data of what has happened, but also what are your plans, what are you putting in motion right now, and how do you anticipate that that will play out, and then what's the reality of what's actually happening. When there's a discrepancy between those two things, we need to figure out what's happening there, and if something's not working, it needs to change. And so I think that one of the things that we have done really well is evaluate Dr. Battle. I think we could do a better job of making those evaluations more public. I would love for the public to be able to see the type of robust evaluation we already have in place for Dr. Battle. We do it quarterly, and then we have a summative at the very end. And I think that it's important that the community sees that.
I would agree that we need to use data to assess and to evaluate Dr. Battle. And using data, we would be able to identify growth and also the way she's responded to previous data to see if those objectives have been met and if growth has been obtained.
For Dr. Battle, I would look at the outcomes of how the schools are doing, the outcomes of how not just the schools, but how teachers are responding, how the people that are directly up under her are responding, and what are the outcomes if they are positive or negative, and also data, and then go from there.
Of course, I agree that we need to look at the data. I have had an opportunity to see some of the evaluation that the school board already provides for Dr. Battle, and I would like to see more weight towards qualitative data. And so looking at the surveys that are done with parents and families, as well as with the administrators that are in the building, as to how they feel that Dr. Battle is performing and are their needs being met by the school system. I believe that our parents are one of the major voices that should be driving the work of the director of schools. They are one of our primary customers outside of the children that they send to school every day. And so I want to make sure that that particular data is prioritized more highly than what I believe it is now. I know it is some, but I would like to see it more highly prioritized.
I also believe that data is very important, but also with the data, I would like to take a look at the experience of the ones that are serving in the buildings. I think that it is awesome that we have this panel of school board candidates and we are giving you the information of how we feel about certain topics, but we are asking for your support as voters making decisions for the ones that have no voice in this process, which are our children and our students. So not just only the data that is presented to us, but I would also love to hear about the experiences our students have, and that may come through, like we have our POSIP surveys, panorama surveys. I would just love to know how the students feel about their experience.
What specific actions do you commit to taking to recruit and retain and support teachers and staff in Metro Nashville Public Schools?
I think I'm supposed to start.
Oh,
right?
yes, sorry.
No, that's great. Well, one thing I think we can do is make sure that we can pay them enough that they can live in the city where they work. That is, I think there are a bunch of little niceties that we can do, but the most important one is show them the respect they deserve by giving them the autonomy to do the job, and show and believe that we know they are professionals and we trust them to do the job we are hiring them to do, and that we pay them what they are worth. And when we're able to do that, I think that we will see our jobs are starting to fill up, and that we will be actually pulling people in from other areas who want to work at a place where they are respected and where they know that they are seen as true professionals. And that's not just teachers. That's our support staff, that's our nutrition workers, that's our bus drivers, that's our administrators, that is everybody in the building with our students. We have to respect them if we expect them to respect our system.
I agree. And as a teacher, one of the things I'm always talking about with fellow teachers is the lack of support that we sometimes have in the classroom. So one thing that I think is very essential in recruiting and retaining teachers is to ensure that they have the supports they need to meet the needs of every student that's in their classroom. In addition to that, I believe it's very important to give teachers voice. Your teachers are on the front lines every day. They are the ones with the experience. They know what works. They're there day in and day out with our children, with everybody. So I would give teachers a platform to communicate their needs and also to get insight on what needs to be done in the schools. Again, I believe those closest to the problem can offer the best solution, and we need to give teachers a voice.
As far as retaining and recruiting teachers, I've talked to several teachers about what would keep them there and what would help recruit more. Is they would like to feel that they are being backed by their administrative. They need support by the administrative and also by the parents. And when we all work together, the kids will actually be educated. So I think if we will start with the head, if the administrative would respect and support the teachers would feel comfortable, and they would continue doing their job, and they would even probably recruit their friends that have been in school with them as well.
So throughout my career, I have worked to develop several programs throughout the community. And one thing that I always say is that you listen to the folks that you're trying to help, and then you prepare to give them what they ask for, right? And so we know what teachers are asking for. They're asking for support. They're asking for additional pay. They're asking for additional classroom resources and so forth. But we aren't prepared to give it to them sometimes. And so as a school board representative, thank you. As a school board representative, I want to ensure that we're advocating for the things that teachers are asking for and not just giving lip service to say, oh, okay, well, we hear that you want more pay. We're going to the state and we're going to ask and we're going to get you all to rally at the Capitol, and then nothing changes. I want to make sure that we have a plan in place to bring those additional funds and make sure that teachers receive the things that they're asking for and continuing to hear their voice. It's more difficult to do than said. I understand that, but I'm committed to the work. I have been committed to the work, and you'll see that I will continue to be.
As far as teacher retention and recruitment, I believe for the past 8 years, I have been in a building where my admin have been great examples of that. They are open to allowing our local colleges and universities to place students at our school. She places them with our strongest teachers that provide the most support for them. And 90% of the time, those student teachers and interns have turned around and have been hired by my principal as teachers the following year. And they are provided support during their first year in a mentorship program that one of our admin oversees, and they continue that support for not just their first year, but through their first 3 years at our building. So we see less turnover, we see less teachers leaving our building because they have been provided the support that they need.
First, I think equitable funding. Again, you cannot get what you need from a resource or just strategize without the funding. So that's the first thing that we need to look at is equitable funding. Next, an inclusive curriculum for staff and support staff to make sure that the teachers have what they need and the supporting staff have what they need in order for that school to nourish and grow so that we can give back to those kids in that community. Last but not least, teacher development, professional development, and different curriculum and programs for the teachers and staff as in the administrators. Maybe like team building weekends or other events where they can actually sit down and discuss their needs and their needs be met or discussed and brought to us so that we can address those issues on a larger scale.
Outside of your family and friends, who are your top 3 financial contributors, and from what PACs and organizations are you accepting money? We'll start with the lady with the white blouse. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
I'm Dominique McCourt-Cotton, candidate for School Board District 1. Could you repeat the question one more time?
Outside of your family or friends, who are your top 3 financial contributors, and from what PACs and organizations are you accepting money?
Okay, aside from my family and friends, I've asked them to ask their family and friends, but I have been supported by an organization, Leaders for Educational Equity, and they believe that teachers are the people who should be in positions that influence policy in regards to education. So I've been working with them and accepting money from them, and I'm also willing to accept money from organizations that are committed to closing educational inequity, and anybody who is a supporter of our public education systems.
Outside of my family and friends, I don't have any PAC that's given to me, but I accept donations and endorsements from my church members, from anyone who's willing to stand with the same beliefs as I have as far as education and morality. I do ask questions before I just accept any money, because I'm just not willing to accept money from anyone. I can't be bought, so there's that.
So my largest campaign donations, I guess I'm family with myself, but it's myself first. I think that my campaign donations have come from family and friends. I have not accepted any funds from any PAC or large organization. My financial disclosure is transparent. Go to the website and pull up all of the candidates' financial disclosures. You'll see that mine is the most thorough. It has every campaign contribution on it. And so I'd encourage folks to do that, and you can see who is supporting the campaign.
For my campaign, for the exception of 2, all of my donations have come from family, friends, and former students and parents. And the 2 outside of that would be a current council member and a former council member.
Most of my donations have definitely came from family and friends. I have a few public endorsements with Equity Alliance as well as WIN, Women in Numbers. But financial contributions have definitely been wholeheartedly from my family and friends. And I had a few council women who supported as well.
Thank you. As I am running unopposed, I've decided not to fundraise, so I have no fundraising to comment on.
What innovative or non-traditional means of education would you advocate for Metro Nashville Public Schools in preparing 21st century learners? And we'll start to the left of Ms. Dominique.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
What innovative or non-traditional means of education would you advocate for Metro Nashville Public Schools in preparing 21st century learners?
I say we go back to trade schools. Not everybody wants to go to university or college afterwards. If you have like trade schools, if you go back to like home economics, wood shop, auto mechanic, get back to some of those basics, I think that would be innovative. Also, teaching kids how to be entrepreneurs as well. You could do that as well, because not everybody wants to go to university.
So I had the opportunity to go to the graduation for the MC3 program that is supported by our unions here in town, where we do have trades in our schools. Maplewood is one of the schools that has fully taken that program on. And so I'm excited to see that as a way. But one of the things that I want to get back to, as a young black boy, I remember not feeling like school was for me. And I did well in school. I was a straight A student through elementary, all the way till I got to high school. Things kind of changed there a little bit. But for me, I needed to know who I was as a young black man and feel as though I was seen as a young black man in the schools. And I want to see us do more programming like our Rites of Passage program that we have in the school to make sure that our young students know that there are people in the community that see them, that understand them culturally, and are supporting them and developing them as young men who are going to be successful in our society in the future. So that is something that I would like to do different.
As far as non-traditional, I would like to see more opportunities for our children that have intellectual and developmental disabilities, whether that is partnering with our Tennessee Inclusive Higher Ed program, or whether it is looking at post-secondary career opportunities. As a parent of a son that has autism, I would love for him to have more chances and more opportunities for post-secondary options, and look at those options now while he's a sophomore in school rather than when he becomes a senior and we're just now delving into it. So I would love to see more opportunities for our students with disabilities.
First, I would want to look into like financial literacy and like incubators and programs that will foster kids learning more about financial responsibility. Second, I want to look into technology. That's the wave, that's where we're headed, whether we want to agree to it or not, and different curriculum and advancements in AI.
Thank you. I love what we're already doing in our academies, which is the name of what we used to call trade schools. And so that already exists in every single one of our zoned high schools. And it covers everything from culinary arts to healthcare, hospitality, photography, graphic arts. I mean, that's just to name a few. There's so many more. And we're already putting our students on these tracks where they can choose what interests them so that they can then find a reason to want to continue to come to school in a way that makes sense to them. I can see myself doing this in the future. And that's not an outside of our zone schools. We also have schools like Big Picture High School, which is in my district, and it's fabulous. And it's where these students go to school and they have their core curriculum classes, but they also have the opportunity to do an internship with a local business. And so let's say a student is really interested in the music industry. Well, they can do their core curriculum classes, and then they can go and spend time actually working in a music where you would record music, and they can see how it's done, and they can learn the ins and outs of the programs. So these things exist. We just need to keep funding them.
I would agree, and I'm a strong believer that when our students leave us, they need to be ready to compete in a globalized economy. So I think that our students need more opportunities for financial literacy, also development of technology. I think that we need to support trades within schools and also academies. So programs do exist. In addition to that, I believe in the power of proximity. So I would love to partner with communities so we could get community members to come in and talk with our students and show them the things that are possible to them once they leave us.
Those are all the questions I have for you. Thank you.
Can you hear me? All right. Thomas and I are the co-chairs of the Education Task Force at NOAA, and I just want to say you guys are doing great. We've heard the bell only a couple times, so yay, good job. But what we have are a couple of questions that are specifically yes, no. So we're looking for you to say either yes or no. At this point, there's no time to really go beyond that. If you answer yes to both questions, then when we have the closing comments, you have a minute. If you answer yes to only one question, you have 30 seconds for the closing comments. Okay, first question. In 2022, 159 people, so we're talking some data here. In 2022, 159 people spoke during school board meetings. In 2023, only 48 people spoke during the public participation part of school board meetings across the entire calendar year. That was following the board's decision to enforce a policy that greatly reduced public comment during school board meetings. That's a 70% less drop in participation. So yes, no question. Do you commit to support an updated public participation policy that restores the public's right to speak on any education topic at school board meetings? And I think, we're Where are we? Is it TK? Yes. Are you, okay, TK first. Yes. Oh, thank you. Yes. Got it. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
No, but I get to comment on the closing.
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening. You all are doing a wonderful job. Thank you. If you are elected, will you commit to work with NOAA and disrupt the school to prison pipeline by eliminating racial disparity in school discipline and access to wraparound services? And I'll get Ms. Abigail.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
No.
Win or lose, yes.
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 Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, so we're going to go through and you have the people that said yeses have a minute for closing comments. And we'll start, Dominique, with you.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Did you want us to address these two questions in our closing?
These are your closing comments.
Okay. Okay. All right. Again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, NOAA, for facilitating this event. My name is Dominique McCord Cotton, and I'm a candidate for School Board District 1. As I've stated before, I'm a teacher. This is my 7th year in the classroom teaching, and I truly believe that those closest to the problems can offer the best solutions, which is why I'm running for school board. As a school board member, I would work to advocate for additional funds for school programs and services. I would prioritize teacher recruitment and retention, and I would work to establish stronger partnerships within school communities. Again, my name is Dominique McCord Cotton, candidate for School Board District 1. You can visit my website at electmccordcotton.com. Thank you.
So I'm going to address those.
Robert's next.
Okay, so when you had said with these questions, you said that we would be able to have those that said yes, they get a minute, and those that said no, they get 30 seconds in their closing remark. That wasn't clear and concise. I'm sorry.
You said yes one time, and that was the 30 seconds. So if you said
Okay.
0 no's, then we did not have time for you to speak.
Wow, how discriminatory. But we'll continue. No. I do. Let me answer to one no. The reason why I said no to the first one is because you're asking me to give a yes or no to a policy that's not written. I like to see the language, just like you would like to see a language written down before you gave an answer to a yes or no. That's all. So therefore, I will yield my time to Mr. Robert. Thank you.
So the policy is available online at mmps.org, so you can view it at your leisure. Is this mic on? Okay. I felt like it wasn't hitting like it should. Okay. All right. So I'm Robert Taylor. I'm running for school board here in District 1. I'm asking for your vote because I bring the leadership that our community is looking for. I know that the work that I've done with organizations like NOAA, the NAACP, Haynes Trinity Neighborhood Coalition are the types of things that our community needs to support our schools. As a school board representative, I'll just be able to amplify those things and do even more than what I'm already doing. I have been in schools, I've worked in schools as an employee, as a family involvement specialist. I teach at Meharry Medical College now, so I know what it takes for students to be prepared for life after high school. And I want to make sure that we're putting our students in the best place possible to be able to do that. I'm asking for your vote today. Robert Taylor. If you need more information, please visit the website at taylorforschools.com. You can also call me. My number is 301-613-5234. It's on the website too, though. Please call me if you have questions. Thank you.
Again, my name is Latanya Winfrey. I am a product of Metro Nashville Public Schools, proud graduate of Maplewood High School Comprehensive class of 1994. I am a parent of a Metro Nashville Public Schools student who has served all of their years in Metro Nashville Public Schools. I've served as a teacher, I've served as a school counselor, and through my advocacy, I have formed my own nonprofit for families that have individuals with autism. The reason why you should vote for me as your school board District 1 candidate is because I am MNPS. I've lived it, I breathe it, I work it, I serve it, I send my child through it, and I'm ready to be your school board District 1 member.
Hi, everyone. Again, I am TK Fain, School Board Representative candidate for District 5. I don't think I mentioned before, but I am also running unopposed. So I will be representing your School Board District 5. Thank you, Noah, for having this forum, for inviting me and giving us a platform to speak. Always happy to serve, happy to answer any questions that you all may have. I'm a strong advocate for community resources and getting organizations involved. So you can always reach out if there's any community events that you would like sponsorship or just support in. I can be reached at Fame4Five for my website. And thank you all again.
Thank you. And again, I'm Abigail Tyler, and I currently represent District 9 on the school board. And as I am running unopposed, I will continue to represent District 9 on the school board. And I look forward to continuing to work with the people that I have that helped elect me the first time around, and the people that, whether or not you vote for me, I represent you. Even if you're not in District 9, I represent the children that go to our schools and our community, and we need to make sure that if we want Nashville to be the strongest community possible, we have to give it a good system upon which to grow our students to be part of that community. So it's really important to me that public education doesn't just work, but it works well.
All right, who do we have?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Berthina Nabal-McKinney. I serve as a Metro Nashville Public School Board member in District 4, which represents Donaldson, Hermitage, and Old Hickory communities. And that district serves about 18 schools, elementary, middle, and high schools. So thank you so much for today. Thank you to NOAA and the community organizations who worked together to organize this insightful school board forum. I really appreciate each one of the candidates for coming today and participating and giving us your perspective on what's best and your thoughts on education. I also want to thank the League of Women Voters, who are also here tonight to register individuals to vote. So if you are not registered to vote, we got you. So we want to make sure that we get you registered. I also want to, most of all, thank our Riverside Seventh-day Adventist Church and Pastor Reverend Dr. Gordon Jones. I got to make sure I get all those titles in there. Thank you so much for hosting, allowing us to host this forum here in your community. We really appreciate it. So there's a couple of things that I would like to highlight based on from Metro Nashville Public Schools that we kind of discussed today. And I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to do so. We have had some wonderful things going on within our community in spite of some of the legislation that you have seen that are not in the best interests of kids across our state. And so I want to take a moment to kind of celebrate some of those achievements. As you know, throughout post-pandemic, we received an influx of federal funds that came into schools across the nation, also including Metro Nashville Public Schools. And we have learned that when you really invest in schools, you're going to get a return on investment that you want to see. So I want to highlight some of those returns on investment that we have experienced right here in Metro Nashville. For the second year in a row, we have been declared a Level 5 district, which means that as a Level 5, that is the highest distinction a district can receive in our state, and this is recognized by the state of Tennessee, Department of Education. They are the ones who give us the Level 5. So we are Level 5 2 years in a row, and we are working on a three-peat. So pray for us, work together with us. We need community support. We are working on Level 5 3 years in a row, and that is our goal. The second thing, which is more exciting than anything, is not only are we receiving state recognition, we are receiving national recognition. Harvard and Stanford University studied post-pandemic recovery for school districts across the nation. They looked at more than 8,000 school districts nationally to look at their pandemic recovery and the work that they were doing around academic recovery for students. From that study, y'all ready? Metro Nashville Public Schools were ranked third in the nation in math reading recovery. They ranked sixth in the nation for reading recovery, growth and recovery. So we are saying nationally we rank third for math, sixth for reading. On top of that, we were one of 2 urban districts nationally that ranked in the top 10 nationally on math and reading recovery in the work that we are doing within Metro Nashville Public Schools. And when I say we are only 2 districts, urban school districts our size nationally, who are doing amazing work in math and reading recovery, we are doing the work within Metro Nashville Public Schools, and we're not saying it, our state is not saying it. We are getting national research from top researchers from Harvard and Stanford universities who are saying it. So that is our good housekeeping seal of approval that we are doing what we need to do to ensure that our students are getting what they need to get. So that deserves a huge round of applause and an amen and a testify and all of that. Second thing that I want to acknowledge, on top of that, in the work that we do, we had a lot of talk about disproportionality and closing the achievement gap. Through this work, we also found that every single group has moved forward. So we are not widening the achievement gap, we are beginning to close the achievement gap. So our students, every single subgroup that we look at, our African American subgroup, our low socioeconomic students, our ELL, our special ed, they are all moving in the right direction and not in the opposite direction. And if you have worked in schools, that is a hard job to accomplish, and we are doing it not just within individual schools, we're doing it district-wide. So that is huge. On top of that, we talked a little bit about discipline and the disproportionality in discipline. We have also seen through the implementation of our advocacy centers in our elementary schools, our peace centers in our middle and high schools, we are seeing a reduction in the amount of discipline incidents that are happening within our schools and the amount of disproportionality that happens between students of color and our white counterparts. So that is also huge and something that we need to celebrate. And so I say all of this to say that investment, community support, and us working together to support students and families within Metro Nashville Public School is paramount in the work that we are going to do. I see that I have 30 seconds, and the last thing that I want to add, community support is so important, and I say that because we have developed, with the leadership of Dr. Batto, Ashford Hughes, and the work that we are doing, we have set out this equity roadmap. And part of that equity roadmap is going into our most underserved, under-researched, under-resourced, and underprivileged communities and working with their leaders to figure out how we can best support students. And we have done that in partnership with IMF and the communities there. So the bell is there. We are done. Thank y'all so much. I really appreciate it. Please get out to vote. And if you are not registered to vote, register. You guys have a great evening. Thank you. Oh, and now we have a prayer by Mr. Earl Gator from Riverside Chapel.
Hello. Timekeeper, how much time do I have? I want to thank Noah and the candidates here for all coming out, and all of you for coming out. On behalf of our senior pastor, Dr. Gordon Jones, our associate pastor, Dr. Christopher Marshall, and our amazing staff, support staff, I just want to welcome you and thank you for coming. Come back and see us anytime. Let's bow for prayer. Father God, as we conclude this public forum, we just want to thank you for your amazing love towards each and every one represented here now. Grant us strength in our decision-making, for we realize that the choices that we make have a profound impact on the lives of our children. Empower us to discern the paths which lead to progress and growth, development, and the safety of our children. Grant us your wisdom to guide our hearts. Permit your clarity to be our vision and our guide, as we are thankful for the opportunity in which to serve our communities. Amen. Consider yourself dismissed.